My CEO wife wants to divorce me for a con artist. This con artist is greedy, has harmed countless people. I was afraid she'd get scammed, so I exposed the con artist on the spot and kicked him out. But shockingly, my wife kept entangling with him and eventually caused my death. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back at the moment in the office when my wife wanted a divorce. This time, I'll give her what she wants. John, you have to sign this divorce agreement, Lily said, holding a document with an aggressive demeanor. She's my wife of 7 years, my college sweetheart. We dated for 4 years and started a business together after graduation. I poured my heart and soul into our company, turning it into one of the top 500 in the province. Just when I thought I had it all, she suddenly wanted a divorce, claiming she had fallen for someone else. That someone was standing right there, exuding arrogance. He is supposedly the eldest son of a prominent family. Ken. Ken, wearing wide-rimmed glasses and a perfect suit, looked at me with utter contempt. He carried himself like he was invincible, but I knew he was a professional con artist. I had investigated and found that Ken didn't even exist. When I told Lily this, she refused to believe me. She accused me of smearing him out of jealousy and insisted on the divorce. Despite all my sacrifices for her, Lily was unmoved. She wanted a divorce publicly to embarrass me. Previously, I was enraged, shredded the agreement, and exposed Ken on the spot, causing him to flee. I thought Lily would come back to me, but she ended up conspiring with the con artist to murder me. John, you forced us. You need to die for us to be together. Lily's voice was cold, stabbing my heart each time. Why stay with him knowing he's a con artist? Nonsense. Ken is no con artist. You're just jealous of him, she exclaimed. I laughed bitterly. Was it because of his good looks? Was it because of his smooth talk? Or was I just too simple and straightforward? Fine, I'll sign it. So I calmly took the divorce papers. This shocked everyone in the office. Even Lily couldn't believe it. People expected me to be furious after all my contributions to the company. But I felt nothing because the initial investment came from Lily's family before we married. So, post-divorce, I walked out with nothing. Leaving the company, behind me, were Lily's and the con artist's smug smiles. But I wasn't as upset. I knew his greed would trip him up. Without familial ties, I could now pursue my own ventures. I remembered a redevelopment project from my past life and invested all my savings into a worn-out property. Not a month later, a demolition notice came, and I profited over $5 million. With newfound capital, I ventured into the stone materials business, anticipating the nation's massive infrastructure developments. The industry wasn't new to me. It's not the technology, but finding buyers that's tricky. However, with the construction boom, that wasn't an issue. Meanwhile, the con artist Ken stepped into my role as assistant to the CEO. His first move was to cut down loyal employees, leaving many seeking me out in distress. John, you were always kind. Ken lacks any empathy, firing us without severance. Construction companies got squeezed for kickbacks or faced delayed payments. Suppliers were replaced. Ken wanted control over everything. Ridiculously, Lily praised him for the revamp, claiming he was more efficient than I ever was, even raised his pay. I just chuckled knowing she'd regret it. He was a seasoned con artist with a history of duping wealthy women. One day, I ran into them at the office building. Lily radiated as a corporate queen in her stylish suit and heels. Next to her, the con artist. Upon seeing me, they couldn't hide their mocking grins. John, unexpected running into you here, Lily jeered. Looking for a job? She mistakenly thought I was job hunting. Actually, I've started my own business now, I calmly replied. This prompted further ridicule. You start a business? Did I misjudge you? I turned, frustrated. But then Lily added mockingly, why not drop the act and come work for me again? Before I could answer, Ken chimed in, Lily, we're short on janitors. Maybe he could clean the office or bathrooms for that matter. With a grim face, I turned to leave. Behind me their laughter echoed. What's the rush, John? If you really can't find work, come back anytime. Ask nicely and I might help you out. These two people are just too much. I stopped in my tracks and turned to look at Lily. Your company laid off a bunch of older employees. That's kind of heartless. Aren't you afraid of karma? With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me, Lily's face was pale. She really was ruthless. Many of those older employees were there since the company started and sacrificed a lot. Letting them go without severance is just too much. Sure enough, less than a week later, one of the departments approached Lily. Because she didn't provide any severance, she was fined $5 million. The fine was small, but the incident made it to the city's TV stations, tarnishing the company's reputation. Lily was in a tough spot, issuing a late-night apology and spending a lot on public relations. But she didn't blame the fraudster and even defended him in a board meeting. Ken was just saving the company money, she said. He did nothing wrong. Meanwhile, I kept working on my own business. Soon, the state announced a big infrastructure push. My stone factory was booming, and we couldn't keep up with demand. I went to the bank to get a loan and expand. There, I ran into Vivian, the younger student I turned down because I was with Lily back then. It was a surprise to find out Vivian's family owns the bank. She greeted me warmly and generously offered $1 billion loan. $1 billion for my little stone factory was a huge boost. We quickly expanded production, increasing our capacity many times over, but demand kept soaring. While I was thriving, Lily's company hit another snag. The fraudster had taken kickbacks from suppliers, leading to subpar products and a wave of customer complaints. Lily was already criticized for the severance issue, and now customers were complaining, making her position untenable. She had to spend heavily on damage control and compensated customers, barely managing to contain the situation. This incident made everyone in the company hate the fraudster, with many demanding his dismissal. When John was around, these things never happened. Why did everything fall apart once this guy showed up? How could he stay in the company? They wanted to bring John back. I got a lot of calls, especially from small shareholders in Lily's company, urging me to return. Obviously, I wasn't going back and politely declined. One day, I ran into Lily again. She looked awful but held tightly to the fraudster. When she saw me, she straightened up, her gaze sharp. So, John, looking for a job again? Been unemployed for almost half a year. Huh? Let's face it, your abilities aren't great. In this market, you really ought to lower your expectations, she smirked. I didn't bother defending myself and coldly replied, whether I look for a job or not is none of your concern. Lily sneered, you're in such a state and still so proud. A man could stand to humble himself a bit, you know? I looked at her and smiled, true. What you're looking for is a man who bows down. Lily's face changed instantly. John, what's that supposed to mean? I straightened up proudly. Well, a man's gotta have his dignity. Saying that, I deliberately glanced at the fraudster, whose eyes were ice cold, as if he wanted to kill me. But I wasn't scared and made a grand exit. A few days later, Lily was in crisis mode. Due to consecutive public scandals, other shareholders banded together to impeach her. It was a dead-end situation and Lily was understandably anxious. The fraudster resorted to dirty tactics, threatening a shareholder into voting against the motion, saving Lily's position. He then retaliated, forcing those shareholders to hand over their shares and leave the company. Gotta say, the fraudster isn't great at running a business, but he sure knows how to screw people over. He forged documents and threatened the board members, saying their only option was to hand over their shares or face criminal charges. One shareholder resisted, so the fraudster accused him of embezzlement, getting him thrown in jail. The others were terrified and surrendered their shares. Lily ended up with full control over the company, trusting the fraudster even more and giving him financial control. With that power, he was more brazen, filling the company with his people until he was in complete control. When I heard about it, I laughed. Lily was digging her own grave, and her company was about to have big trouble. My stone business continued to thrive, and I branched into real estate, buying land and developing commercial properties. I had a knack for business. Lily's company only succeeded because of me. Now I was fully leveraging my skills, and my company was growing stronger every day. Vivian looked at me with newfound admiration, and I knew she had feelings for me. Then I got a call. I was named the region's most outstanding entrepreneur and invited to receive the award. It was an honor, and of course I accepted. Later I found out that the award was supposed to go to Lily, but due to her errors with employee compensation and product quality, the negative publicity disqualified her. It was a huge loss for her, not just for the honor, but the tax benefits and subsidies that came with it. It also made negotiating with departments easier and accessing projects across the community more straightforward. Lily was furious about losing this honor and was especially bitter at me for taking it. She accused me of manipulating things, claiming I couldn't have built a successful business without tricks. Despite this, her faith in the fraudster only deepened, insisting he was the only one who truly understood her. Little did she know, her fraudster was secretly transferring her assets. Vivian's family, being in banking, knew about the money flow. Recent transactions showed billions being moved from Lily's company to overseas accounts. Billions, that's a gut punch, and Lily's company could blow up at any moment. This scammer is also evading taxes. He's lost all shame acting crazy. Clearly, he's trying to make a big score before he leaves. I shared the good news of my award with Vivian. Without her generous billion-dollar loan, I wouldn't have my achievements today. Vivian went with me to the award ceremony. This honor is partly yours. There was a slight pause on the phone. Then I heard Vivian's gentle voice. All right, I'll stand by you at the ceremony. I hung up the phone with a smile. Vivian agreed to come, which means she accepts me. I found out that Vivian hasn't dated anyone in the last 10 years. She's been waiting for me. In my past life, I missed her. This lifetime, she's my true love. A few days later, I went to Vivian's home with her. Turns out, her family is the richest in the area with tons of assets. The entire place is a grand estate, decorated like a palace. Vivian's parents liked me a lot. They immediately agreed to our engagement. Soon, Vivian became my fiancée and treated me with even more care. Our relationship grew stronger. To make a splash at the award ceremony, Vivian hired the best stylist from the Western world for me and had a suit tailored to fit me perfectly. A team even worked on my image. I felt it was a lot, but she laughed, saying, "Since you're my family's son-in-law, you can't embarrass us." With her saying that, how could I refuse? After the makeover, I looked completely new. A sharp suit, short neat hair, giving off a vibe of a successful man with maturity beneath. Vivian couldn't stop smiling, saying she struck gold with me. Honestly, I am quite handsome. I had many admirers in college. But later, I neglected everything for career and family. Now, looking at the new me, I regained confidence. Life feels like it's just beginning. The day of the award ceremony came quickly. Vivian and I arrived early. Because my custom suit had just arrived, Vivian left my side for a moment. Standing alone, I saw Lily and the scammer marching towards me, looking fierce. Lily looked furious, and right in front of me, she started cursing. "John, how dare you show up here for an award? Don't think I don't know the stone factory isn't yours. And those so-called good deeds in my company, I've got records. I'm exposing you today. You wait." I had no idea what Lily was planning, but I had nothing to hide. "Lily, stop causing trouble. I've never done anything wrong to you." Lily suddenly laughed and threw a document in my face. "Look, this is your doing. You took kickbacks from the material suppliers, causing quality issues in our products. You ruined our company's reputation. So, not only don't you get this top entrepreneur award, but you also owe us for damages." I furrowed my brows, glancing at the document. It had my signature, dated when I was still employed. But in my memory, I never signed such a thing. This was forged. I shot a look at the scammer, who smirked. It was clearly his doing. "Do you have anything to say now?" Seeing me silent, Lily got even more arrogant. I threw the document on the ground. "You should at least investigate first." "Investigate? It's obvious you did it." Lily clung stubbornly to her accusations, calling out to those around. "Everyone come look. This is the so-called top entrepreneur, but he's just a sneak who takes kickbacks." The state considers this award ceremony very important, with lots of media there. Cameras were all pointed at me. I stood firm, unafraid of the drama, wanting to see what Lily would do next. John, do you still want to deny it? Speak up. Lily was unreasonable, yelling at me. Just then, several police officers came through the door, heading our way. Lily instantly lit up with joy, glaring at me. John, the cops are here. Let's see how long you can stay stubborn. Then she waved at the officers, shouting, Officers, here, here. This guy's a criminal. The officers strode over, not to lay a hand on me, but to arrest the scammer. Lily panicked, desperately pulling at the officers. What are you doing? One officer hesitated, then said sternly, Please do not interfere with our duties. We're arresting a fraudster. Lily was stunned. The man she was with every night was a scammer. She couldn't handle the truth. Officers, there must be a mistake. Ken can't be a fraudster. He's an honest guy. I almost laughed at how absurd this was. The officers couldn't help but grin too, but stayed professional. Please do not cause trouble. We conducted a thorough investigation. This fraudster's real name is Mike. He's deceived multiple women and has several cases against him. Lily was wide-eyed in shock. How is this possible? You might have the wrong person. Even at this point, Lily didn't believe it. She grabbed the scammer's arm. Ken, say something. Tell them it's not true. The scammer hung his head low, his shifty eyes confirming the officer's words were true. Lily had no words left, but she kept holding the scammer's arm, crying. You can't take him away. Ken must have a reason for doing this. He's a good person. At this point, an officer pulled out another document. Are you Lily? Please have a look at this. In our investigation, we found that this fraudster recently transferred $1.5 billion from your company. Lily's face froze. After a while, it turned ashen, and she looked at the scammer in fury. The next moment, she started hitting him, shouting, Bastard! Bastard! You scumbag! A dog would be better than you. I treated you so well, and you still scammed my money. The officers held her back. Ma'am, please calm down. Lily's chest heaved, her hair in disarray. Calm down? $1.5 billion. My company's ruined. I'm ruined. Lily burst into tears, slapping the scammer hard. You jerk. I've done so much for you. Lily gave me a quick glance, then slapped the con artist again. Give me back my money. Give me back my money. The scammer got mad after being hit and shouted, You dumb woman. If you didn't like good-looking guys, would you have picked me? I just showed a bit of charisma, and you were quick to jump in bed with me. Who's really to blame? Lily's face was red with both shame and anger. You! How dare you talk nonsense? She reached out to hit again, but the cop's expression turned serious. If you act up one more time, we'll arrest you for assault. Lily didn't dare hit again and glanced around. The media she had called were all filming her. Tonight's news is going to be interesting. That feeling of screwing yourself over isn't pleasant. The cop then handed over a document. Also, while investigating the scammer, we found he not only moved company assets but also took kickbacks from suppliers, which they've confirmed. On top of that, the scammer evaded taxes in a big way. Lily, you should take a close look at these papers. Lily's face darkened further as she shamefully accepted the documents, unable to say anything against the solid evidence. I smiled at her and said, Well, still doubt me? Lily looked like she wanted to disappear into a hole. Just then, a conference organizer rushed over and greeted me eagerly. Hey, John. We've been looking everywhere for you. So you're here. Huh? Hurry up and report on stage. Lily suddenly looked up at me, her eyes full of complex emotions. He is? John, did you really start your own business? I chuckled. Why can't I start a business? Lily blushed. The organizer, noticing this, helped with an introduction. John is the top entrepreneur in our province this year. In only a year, his company reached a market value of $3 billion. It's remarkable how quickly he's achieved this. His talent is impressive. Instantly, everyone turned their envious eyes on me. I had become someone untouchably high in their eyes. The reporters all started snapping photos. Lily's face showed a mix of surprise, jealousy, regret, annoyance, and remorse. She looked at me and suddenly cried pitifully. John, I messed up. I didn't know better and got fooled by that scammer. I've always been thinking about you. Let's start over. With that, Lily tried to throw herself at me. I quickly held out my hand to stop her. Wait, Lily, there's nothing between us anymore, and there's no going back. I'm engaged now. Engaged. Lily's eyes sparkled, and she puffed up her chest confidently and adjusted her wavy hair, still leaning towards me. John, can you really forget about me? We were married for 7 years. 7 years, and now you just toss me away like garbage? Lily's shamelessness shocked me. I glared at her with anger. Lily, doesn't it sting your conscience to say that? You're the one who forced the divorce. Lily quickly tried to explain. I was deceived. You can forgive me. I suddenly laughed. Forgive you? How did you treat me before? She thick-skinned said, I know I messed up, but I can change. I was speechless, and my face fell as I looked at her. Lily, you're shameless. Do you know how much I gave up for you? And you just want to brush past with a simple apology? My face went pale, seething with anger. When you wanted to start a business, I was with you, work day and night at the company, getting home after 10 p.m. every day. I was the one drinking with clients. You rarely bothered with business until... Remember when I drank myself into the hospital? Did that bother you? I sold my childhood home, gave you everything to save your company. And what did I get in return? You wanted to be with a scammer, so you forced a divorce. In front of the whole company, I had to sign those papers. Can't you understand a man needs his pride? And you want to get back together? You're just using my success to cover your hole. No way. Lily turned away, full of shame, yet she didn't give up. John, we did love each other once. I scoffed, chest aching. Love? Let me ask you this. If I had exposed the scammer from the start, what would you have done? Lily blurted. I wouldn't have divorced you. I kept smiling, but it was a hollow smile. No, you'd have killed me. You two would have stabbed me to death, inch by inch. Lily, you never loved me. You just wanted a pretty face and a smooth talker. You wanted someone to flatter you. But I am not that guy. Lily lowered her head after my words, but when I stopped, she clung to me again. John, we could still start over. Just then, a clear voice rang out in the venue. Who's that shameless, clinging to my man so desperately? Vivian strode over, eyes sharp. She wore a leather coat, fitted black pants, and sported long, black hair with large glasses. Regal, tall. She exuded grace and the aura of a true heiress. Standing just a bit taller than Lily, she lifted her chin slightly, staring her down. Lily, overpowered by the aura, couldn't lift her head. She stepped back 3 paces, recognition in her eyes. You're the daughter of the richest family? Vivian spoke, voice clear and cold. If you already know that, you'd better stay away from my fiancé. Lily shuddered violently. She knew she had no more chances left. Now she had lost her company, while I, the husband she kicked out, had found success in both career and love. She lost everything. Suddenly, Lily felt like the world was spinning. She collapsed to the ground, tears streaming down uncontrollably. The flashbulbs popped non-stop around her. In tonight's sensational news, Lily was about to become a clown. John, your tailored suit is here. Hurry and put it on. Vivian turned her head, her gaze softening instantly, and helped me into the suit. The moment I put it on, I felt an immediate boost in confidence, exuding maturity and charm. With a mix of youthful appeal and seasoned elegance, I strode up to the podium with a confident, carefree gait. Without a script, I gazed over the hundreds of attendees and began speaking with ease and eloquence. My words were both insightful and impactful. Soon enough, the audience erupted into applause, offering sincere approval. Countless media cameras flashed around, and admiration sparked in people's eyes. Yet I remained cool and approachable. My speech was flawless, all thanks to the image consulting Vivian arranged. The result? Simply spectacular. From below, Lily looked at me blankly, suddenly remembering something. John, you used to be like this back when you were in the student council. As she spoke, she burst into tears. I regret it. I regret divorcing you. I ignored her, holding Vivian's hand as we stood together on the podium. Just then, a senior leader from the province came up to present our award. Flashbulbs continued relentlessly. It was the peak moment of the event. I held the honor tight, standing closely with Vivian. This recognition belonged to both of us. At that moment, I noticed the police hadn't left yet. They tapped Lily on the shoulder and showed her an arrest warrant. "Ma'am, please come with us." Lily immediately cried out, "You can't arrest me. I haven't broken any laws." "Lily, you falsely accused board members and got them jailed. We've found all the evidence to be fabricated." "No, it wasn't me." Lily quickly pointed at a conman. "It was him. It's his doing." The conman snapped back, "You wicked woman. Don't try to frame me. It was your idea to imprison those board members." Lily tried to argue, but the police restrained her and escorted her out of the venue. Justice was harsh for her, and she faced severe punishment. Meanwhile, Vivian and I got married 3 months later. I took over her family's business, managing a billion-dollar empire. My career reached unprecedented heights, with Vivian always by my side. On the other hand, Lily finally faced the consequences of her actions. She was sentenced and went to prison. A bleak future awaited her.